Let's get into it, as always, the two that always agree. Sadly, not in the man cave, but as always, spiritually with me and you on a Tuesday night, none other than James Ashby from One Nation. Labor to her bootstraps, but she's free to say whatever she wants, for she is not in elected office anymore. The wonderful Linda Scott. So, James, let us not have a version of the same conversation in and around the recognition of Palestine. More so, do you think there's a certain section of Australians who understand all of this, the ups and downs, but also go, yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, about us, about this country, don't solve the world's problems instead. Let's focus each and every day on ours. Or is this bloke so confident that 94 seats, no opposition, no one standing in his way, that he can just coast and go international?
Well, that is the attitude of this self-indulgent Prime Minister that we have in the country. He certainly misses the mark, even with those Palestinians that live here in Australia. And I note in one of the reports today, the Australian Palestinian Advocacy Network was very quick to come out and condemn the Prime Minister as well. And I'll read to you, Palestinian rights are not to be gifted by Western states. They're not dependent on negotiation with or behaviour or approval of their colonial oppressors. This is an Australian group who clearly hate the West, are not satisfied with the decision of the Prime Minister to recognise Palestine as a separate state, and yet he thought he'd win all this favour with those Palestinians and those groups that support a two-state solution. Yeah. So, look, he's won no favours. He's completely ignored every issue that is related to everyday Australians out there struggling to pay the rent, struggling to pay their power bills, and the general cost of living. So, yeah, self-indulgent, and he's missed the mark.
Yeah, this is what the Prime Minister had to say about it today. Now, again, look, I think this thing is of certain seriousness, that you've got to be careful about the venues in which you talk about this stuff, but this is how it rolled out today.
I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu. He again reiterated to me what he has said publicly as well, which is to be in denial about the consequences that are occurring for innocent people.
Now, that was good when he was doing the breakfast TV interviews, but again, continued to answer the questions in the high vis and the hard hat. Again, it's like I've addressed that matter earlier today, and if you want to have that chat a little bit later, maybe I'm just talking about optics, but again, this in many ways is a conversation in and around optics, when what we are talking about here is the symbolic vote, important as it is, in and around the UN. But Linda, the fact that there are all these stories that are briefed around about, the key 11 days where they changed their mind. He always wanted to do it. Fine. He's of the hard left. He is now the person in a position with the power to do what he has always wanted to do. So I'm not surprised that he's done what he's done, but how much time can you spend as a leader on symbolic matters to do with the rest of the world before people start to say, yeah, okay, pal, back here?
Well, I think Australians are really smart, and they can recognise that your job as a Prime Minister is to look after all the major domestic issues with your great cabinet and your ministry, and that's, of course, primarily focused on relieving Australians' cost of living pressures. Obviously, Labor just won an election with a whole suite of policies about what they're going to do about that, and they're rolling it out. They've already done student debt relief. They've reduced the cost of medicines. So they're doing that work.
They've built 1.2 million homes, have they?
They are building homes, James. Thanks for acknowledging that. But they're also recognising
1.2 million.
that millions of Australians are distressed about the fact that we are seeing images every night on the news of children starving and people dying. This is a clear human rights crisis that Australia can't ignore, and Australia should take a role in this. We are part of now a movement of 147 other nations who have already recognised Palestine. The Holy See has recognised Palestine for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So we're not the first mover on this. But I think it's really great that Australia has taken this step. I think it's really welcome that Australia has joined other allies like Canada, like France, like England in disclosing that at the next session of the UN we'll recognise Palestine. I think that's a very important step forward.